Hit it, hit it.
Hello and welcome to the Marley Bird YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make the Zig Zag Eyelet Trellis lace knit stitch pattern. Say that 5 times fast. If you look down here, let me show you exactly what it looks like. As you can see in this swatch that I have started to work up, the trellis pattern goes in a zigzag motion just by going first towards the right and then towards the left. If I spread out the lace a little bit, you can see it a little bit better. It goes there, 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 there. Now I've separated the 2 colors here with a couple rows of garter stitch, and I have garter stitch along the outside edges that I will maintain as I work along in the stitch pattern as I show you how this works. To get these decreases that go to the right and then to the left, we're going to use knit 2 togethers and SSKs. By doing a knit 2 together, that's what makes these stitches lean towards the right, because when you do a knit 2 together, it pulls the stitches towards the right. When you do an SSK, it makes stitches lean towards the left, because that's just the nature of what that particular decrease does. Same thing up here in the tangerine color. You can see these stitches go to the right and then they go to the left. You create this simple lace stitch pattern by using knits and purls, yarn overs, knit 2 togethers, and SSKs. All of these are simple stitches that you know, they're all part of your knitter's toolbox, but I'm going to show you how combining them will get you this really great stitch pattern. For the pattern that I'm going to be using today, I want you to go to marleybird.com. If you click on that little link right there, that'll take you to where the pattern is located, and you can follow along with me. If you want to use the same yarn I'm using, go ahead and grab some Red Heart soft yarn and some size 8 circular needles. If you want to use straight needles, you absolutely can. I just prefer circulars because I find them easier to work with. I also want you to get 2 stitch markers, and they're just going to signify the outside of your lace stitch pattern so that we can keep the outside stitches in garter stitch. You have your pattern and your materials, and you're ready to go ahead and jump into row 4 of the pattern. Let me show you how to do that. As you look down here, you can see I've already attached a beautiful green color to my old tangerine color, because that's the color I'm going to use for the first section of this repeat I'm going to show you. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep the first 4 and the last 4 stitches of this pattern in garter stitch, and all that means is I'm going to knit those every single row, and that's why I use my marker. I have the marker there to remind me that these first 4 stitches are always knit, and the marker is down here at the other end to remind me that those last 4 stitches are always knit. Once I get to my marker, I slip it over, and it's time to jump into my lace stitch pattern, which is knit 1, so I knit 1 stitch. I yarn over my needle, so I take my yarn and I yarn over my right hand needle. You want to see that one more time? My yarn's in the back, come between my needles to the front, and then up and over top of my needle back to the back. Now I'm going to do a knit 2 together. Now a knit 2 together is where I'm going to take my right hand needle and I'm going to put it into these 2 stitches right there. So I'm going to just go into those 2 stitches, take my yarn, yarn over my right hand needle just like before, come out of those 2 stitches, and then have those stitches jump off my left hand needle. So where I had 2 stitches, I now have 1, and that is the end of my repeat of that lace. So I'm going to repeat that all the way down to my marker. So I knit 1, yarn over, and then knit 2 together. Remember, you're going to have that right hand needle go into both of those stitches. I'm going to do that with the yarn held in my left hand so that you guys can see how that looks. I'm at the repeat again. I knit 1, yarn over, knit 2 together. My right hand needle into those stitches, and I split the yarn. I'm going to do that again. And knit 2 together right there. Knit 1, yarn over, and then knit 2 together. Go ahead and get to the end of this row, and when you're ready to start the next row, let's take a look. I'm at the end of my row 4 and I'm getting ready to start my row 5, which is go ahead and knit my first 4 stitches, remember, because I'm always going to keep those in garter stitch. And that's why I have my marker there. So I knit 4 and I slip my marker. And now I need to purl all the way to my next marker. Now the reason I'm taking the time to show you how to purl on this side is because I want you to see what these yarn over stitches look like. They actually look like just a piece of string laying on top of your needle. That's what they are going to look like. It's totally fine. Just take your right hand needle, stick it into that yarn over right hand needle, and come out. And go ahead and carry on till you get to your next yarn over, and you're going to purl it just like all the other stitches. There it is. I go into the stitch and purl it just like normal. So I'm going to go ahead and get to the end of this row, and I'm going to get you started on the next row. I just finished row 5 and I'm going to go ahead and get started on my row 6, which you will notice is just a repeat of row 1. So I'm knitting to my marker, slip my marker, and I'm going to repeat my row 1. So I knit 1 stitch, yarn over, and knit 2 together. And you're going to notice that this time the knit 2 together is the stitch next to the stitch that was created with the yarn over. I'll show you what I mean again. I knit 1 stitch, yarn over. Here's the stitch that was created with the yarn over. You can see right there because there's a big hole. That's our lace. So when we do our knit 2 together, we actually are going into the stitch next to it and that yarn over stitch. You see what I mean? So you're going to start to see that these yarn overs begin to lean towards the right. Just as I mentioned before, these knit 2 togethers lean towards the right. So they're going to continue to lean towards the right. I'm going to hold the yarn in my opposite hand so you guys can see how this works one more time. I'm going to knit 1, yarn over, and then knit 2 together. Knit 1, yarn over, knit 2 together. Go ahead and work through row 9. On row 10, I'm going to jump in again and I'm going to show you how to do the SSKs, which will allow our lace to start to lean towards the left. All right, it's not so hard, is it? You've gone ahead and you've finished row 9 and you're ready to start row 10. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pick up my work, and working on row 10, we're going to follow the stitch pattern. So again, we're gonna keep these stitches in garter stitch at the beginning. So I do that because it keeps the fabric from rolling and it just makes a really pretty edge. I'm gonna slip my marker. So here we are, we're going to go ahead, we're going to knit 1 stitch, and now we do our SSK. An SSK is where you take your right hand needle, go into the next stitch as if to knit and slip it off. Go into the next stitch as if to knit and slip it off. Take your left hand needle, put it into the front leg of those 2 stitches. So this is what you look like at this point. If I tilt it up, this is where you are. So it looks like the right hand needle is in the back leg. Yarn over your right hand needle and come through just like you normally would. Have those stitches pop off. So we've worked a decrease. Now we do our yarn over and we work the repeat. So it's knit 1, SSK, so slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit, left hand needle into the front leg of those 2 stitches, and then knit them together. And it leans to the right. Yarn over, knit 1, slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit, left hand needle into the front leg, and knit them together, yarn over. I'm going to go ahead and do this with the yarn in my other hand so you can see what that looks like. I knit 1, slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit, left hand needle into the front leg of those 2 stitches, and knit them together. Here we go. Finish with my yarn over. I knit 1, slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit, left hand needle into the front leg of those 2 stitches. You see that? Yarn over and knit those together. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish the end of this row. So I got to do my yarn over there, knit 1, slip, slip, and then knit them together, yarn over. Knit one, slip, slip, knit them together, yarn over. Now I want to make sure I don't lose that yarn over because it's right next to my marker there. So I want to make sure it stays there, and then finish with my 4 knits. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn my work, go to row 11. And row 11, you'll notice, is just like row 5 from the previous section, in that we're going to keep these first 4 and last 4 stitches in garter stitch, and then we just purl all the way back. So I'm going to treat all of my yarn overs just as I normally would when I'm purling. Go in and purl all the way down the row. I just finished my row 11, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get started on my row 12, which is a repeat of my row 10. So I'm going to show you how to do the SSK one more time. So for my row 10, I go ahead, I knit my first 4 stitches, I slip my marker, and I'm going to start my pattern. So I knit 1, do an SSK, so slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit, go into the front leg of those 2 stitches, and then knit them together. Yarn over, knit 1 stitch, slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit, left needle into the front leg of those 2 stitches, and then knit them together. Yarn over. Once you finish row 14, I want to show you what your work should look like. As you take a look down here, you can see that your work should look something like this. You have stitches that are leaning towards the right, and you have 3 yarn overs that are next to those stitches that lean to the right. Then you have stitches that lean to the left, and you have 3 yarn overs that lean next to the stitches that lean to the left. The next part of this pattern has you work in garter stitch to give you the dividing lines between the blocks of color in the swatch that I created. If you wanted to do this lace stitch pattern in a continuous zigzag motion, follow the second set of instructions that we didn't use here in this video, and you will see how to do that. It incorporates the same stitches that we used in the video, we just don't have any of the garter stitch between the blocks. Now you know how to do the Zig Zag Eyelet Trellis lace knit stitch pattern. And you can use this in many different stitch combinations, or the next time you come across a pattern that includes this, you know how to make it. I hope that you will hit subscribe so you're up to date whenever there's a new video released. And as my kids say, please smash that like button. I'm Marley Bird for redheart.com, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.